What up, Hyperchange? Welcome to another live stream. We are live. I've been on like Zoom calls all day. I was just on this college class doing a lecture. So much fun. But I've been having so many scheme sessions about Quantumscape. This new battery IPO, diving deep, was initially extremely bullish. I thought I had a lot of promise. JB Straubel, Tesla co-founder on the board, just had a lot of kind of people thought it was the it battery company. And so I've been taking a very deep dive into Quantumscape. Let me give you a thumbs up. You can hear me. What's up, guys? But I think this is going to be, I don't know. I have a hot take. So Quantumscape is a $25 billion company that is not planning to generate revenue for 4 years. And when they do generate revenue, they're going to generate like $6 billion in revenue in 2028 is their best case scenario 7 years out for a company that's 25 billion today that is unproven. I mean, this is I like, yes, it has potential, but this just totally blows my mind. When I looked into the valuation, the timing, I mean, it just absolutely makes no sense to me on any level. And the thing that was the first red flag about Quantumscape is I was looking into this company and their entire pitch is they're going to be the first to commercialize a solid state battery. This has never been done in the EV space. Tesla's using lithium ion. And their entire pitch is like, okay, we've come up with a solid state battery. We've got it. It's going to come out in 2024 with Volkswagen. It's going to result in a car with 800 cycles, or a battery with 800 cycles. That's a $30,000 car with 300 miles of range. And I'm like, wait, Tesla in 4 years is going to have a $25,000 car with just as much range, with way more cycles on their battery life, that's built by Tesla, by robots with their alloy that they combined with SpaceX. Like, they don't even need quantum. Like, the whole idea of selling a $30,000 car with 300 miles of range in 2025 built by VW, who's not even good at building cars, is actually just makes no sense to me. And then you're talking about a $26 billion market cap for a company that is building batteries. Batteries are such a low margin business. I mean, you need extreme amounts of CapEx. You're looking at consistent dilution. You're looking at extremely low gross margin business that's trading at 6 times their own projected 2028 revenue. I mean, this just does not make any sense on any sort of level at all when you actually rationally take a step back and like, batteries are a 20% gross margin business. Even if they hit their 2028 numbers, we are still looking at a 6 times price revenue. Even if we give them a 10% EBIT ratio on that and a 600 million thing, we're still looking at a 60 times earnings ratio. By then earnings, interest rates have bounced back. I mean, so even in a perfect world, it's priced at 60 times their pie in the sky 2028 earnings. I mean, this is absolutely mind-boggling from a valuation perspective. And then, I don't know, I've been hearing some interesting through the grapevine things about how their technology has been a lot of over-promising and under-delivering. It's a 10-year-old company. They've got all these VCs, all these legacy investors who want to cash out. Their CEO previously led a company called Infinera, which was a cell phone sort of legacy tech company that IPO'd, had a ton of hype. He led the company, went from like 15 to $3 a share when he was CEO. Literally a track record of destroying shareholder value. So you have a crappy management team, doesn't have like too many cooks in the kitchen. What I actually think that, and I'm sorry, I'm throwing a lot at you. I'm kind of like all over the place right now, but what I really think this is, it's an amazing science project. That's why JB signed on board. That's why people are hyped about it. It's dope. They're showing progress on solid state batteries, but it's still 5 years away. I mean, we all thought solid state batteries were going to come out in like 3 years. They're saying best case is 5 years. There's already a bunch of other, solid state companies who I think are even ahead of them. And so it doesn't make sense to me, but I do think it probably has promise in the lab, and that's why JB wanted it. But now what we're talking about, back to why, I mean, the JB thing is fascinating because JB Straubel was a co-founder of Tesla. I mean, he's one of the leading, sharpest battery industry experts in the world. But you have to think about, what was his passion? What did he and Elon jam on starting Tesla? Electric planes. We know Elon wants to do his electric VTOL. I think JB wants to do electric planes even more than cars. And so that's why he's into Quantumscape, because he sees this solid state battery, just like Sam Corris said today on Twitter, its first use case is going to be an electric plane, not in a car. But wait, why are they telling investors then that it's for this car? And you look at the CEO on Yahoo Finance and he's like, we believe that the battery company that propels every EV, there's, no EVs sold now, but 90 million cars sold a year. Once they all go EVs, the battery technology behind that EV business is going to be worth hundreds of billions. And it's like, even that's not a good CAGR because you're already worth 25 billion. And Tesla battery day, like, who's going to be building all the batteries for all the EVs and building all the EVs that we're driving around in 10 years and getting all that value? It's Tesla. And so it blows my mind that, like, it almost looks like Quantumscape's investor presentation just totally like assumed battery day didn't happen. Look at what Sandy Monroe's saying. He's saying that because of Tesla's advances in cell-to-pack technology, the dry battery electrode, stacking up what they announced at Battery Day, I mean, we've just kicked the can on how far we need solid state to happen because we just don't need that. Like lithium ion technology is going to keep improving, and we don't even need the solid state innovation. So there's so many levels to this story that do not add up to me. And I'm like kind of baffled that it's gotten so much hype, because it's like, I don't know. I was trying to crunch some numbers, and even by their own numbers, it's so ridiculously valued. And what do we know about every EV startup, every battery program? It always takes 10 times longer. It's always 10 times slower. It always takes more time to ramp up than we expect. And so these guys are saying they're not even going to ramp up to like 2025 best case scenario. I mean, and they're already worth 25 billion, and in 2025 they're only going to have like 100 million in revenue. I mean, I think people buying the stock are just not actually like it's just kind of all hype and gambling and trading without anybody looking into the company, without seeing the CEO's track records whack. And then they're just like, oh, JB Straubel's involved, must be legit. But that's the part that still is kind of eating at me, is I feel like there is legitimate technology there, but it's worth 50 to 100 million, not 30 billion, because it's still 5 years from commercialization. It's still billion years away. Yes, I do trust JB Straubel knows what he's talking about batteries. Love that question. But I do not trust that he knows how to value a battery company. And I don't trust that he's endorsing the value of Quantumscape at 30 billion. Like, I think JB Straubel will probably be like he's an advisor that they were probably like, yo, this is a really cool solid state battery project. We'll give you a ton of stock if you come on as an advisor. We're going to eventually try to put this in electric airplanes. We know you're scheming on that. He's like, sure, I'll do it. But he's also dedicating time on the investor stream. So that to me is the only, like deep down, I think what they're doing has promise. And I think they're probably a leading solid state battery technology, but is it worth 30 billion? No. And do we even really need that solid state battery to power cars? No, because we have Tesla. And so, I keep coming, and then I just keep coming back to the fact that like this EV mania seems to have gotten crazy. Everybody assumes that you're going to be a wildly profitable company like Tesla if you're building batteries or cars, but people forget how crappy of a business this is. You need to have a building with all these billions of dollars of robots to set up before you get $1 of revenue. I mean, this is the worst business to be in, is building cars and batteries. And you're investing in a battery company that's already worth 30 billion. That's not building a battery for 5 years. That's competing with Tesla and Elon Musk after what they showed at Battery Day with Drew Baglino with unlimited guap and billions scheming on it with a 10-year advantage. But they're not scheming on it. I would even actually, is Tesla working on a solid state battery? Probably. And if they are, they probably have a good chance at commercializing it before even, Quantumscape does in some ways. And so I've been really, if I was Quantumscape's IR team and I was looking at this pitch and I was like, okay, if you're really going to pitch this company as the solid state battery, as Sam Corris said, this is the first application in electric aircraft. Let's be like, yo, we're partnering with Wright Electric, the startup that's building electric planes. We're partnering with Boeing. We're partnering with Airbus. We're doing all these joint ventures to launch commercial aircraft. Let's focus on that. That's going to be the niche for these solid state batteries. But they're saying the solid state batteries are for a $30,000, 300-mile range electric car in 2025. That's going to be worse than the specs that Tesla has. But that's their grand vision. Like, even their grand vision just doesn't make sense. And so, I don't know. This is why I'm so fascinated at all of this, because what is Elon Musk has said Tesla's biggest competitive advantage is going to be is manufacturing. So Quantumscape, as much as it looks like an IP play right now, is really just a manufacturing play of building a ton of batteries. And you're already pricing in my opinion, like 2 million EVs on the road with Quantumscape batteries in, when they're still telling you they're 5 years away from one. So I've been fascinated to see these new SPACs and IPOs kick the can down the road on their execution milestones and have the market give them leeway to still give them the benefit of the doubt. Like 2025 before generating revenue, like this is just, and you think about every CEO, like I don't think that the CEO of this company cares about selling a lot of batteries. He probably just cares about getting really rich, and he's going to get so rich. The guys who set this up are genius, because they're going to be able to sell all their stock a year later after this IPOs, and we're still 3 years down the road from them ever even having to build a battery. And so I think, to me, Quantumscape is just, I think it's if it was a $50 million company and they were going to commercialize their thing in 2023, I'd be like, maybe I'll give them a shot, but they're still competing with Tesla. And I don't think that has, that just doesn't make sense to me. And so I don't know, this is my long-winded rant, passionate sort of end of the day. But I've been having a lot of conversations throughout this, and I wanted to just open source my thoughts and sort of where I'm at in the scheme sesh of researching Quantumscape, because I've looked into this all day and all day yesterday, and I don't get it. I'm not a battery expert. I don't pretend to know about solid state batteries, but actually, I'm going to try and show you another huge red flag in their investor presentation right now by sharing my screen. Okay. So this is what they put in their investor presentation. Lithium metal anode, that is their technology. Better than the graphite silicon anode that here they have peaking out at about 300 watt hours per kilogram of energy density, which is where Tesla is today. This is a massive stagnation fallacy. First of all, they're not commercializing this technology for 5 years. So Tesla's thing is going to get better. If they showed a chart over time of Tesla's NCA or baseline chemistry be getting way more efficient with every vehicle they produce, you give Tesla 5 more years, they're going to get way above this 300 watt hours per kilogram range. You're literally assuming in your investor pitch that Tesla doesn't get better. Like, what? This is the biggest stagnation fallacy I've ever seen. So it's like, it feels like their entire presentation, like, okay, need battery breakthrough to enable electrification of 98% of the market. It's like, I don't think that's true at all. Like Tesla to me already showed the cell to structure 4680 cell. They already showed the manufacturing things. Like that's how we're going to electrify the entire fleet. And okay, this is actually the best part of my rant is autonomy. Like who cares about the battery? The battery is very important in autonomy because you got to do cycles. They're saying in 2025 they're going to get to 800 cycles. I mean, you need 3,000 cycles to be able to operate a robotaxi. So even if you have a 300-mile car in 2025 that can do 800 cycles, it's not even going to be good enough because the Tesla car is going to be doing 3,000 cycles at the same price and going to be operating autonomously because it's a robotaxi. VW doesn't have autonomous vehicle software, but that's who you're partnering with to buy all your vehicles in 2025. I'm sorry, nobody's buying a Volkswagen in 2025 because you can buy a $25,000 autonomous Tesla. So it doesn't even matter if the batteries were better in the Volkswagen. So it's like, even when you think about if their best case ever plan works, it still doesn't make sense. And so this is why I'm like, am I crazy? The static noise might be my laptop. Even my laptop's grinding hard. But energy capacity. Oh, okay. Now I got share map here. So 300-mile range, charge in 15 minutes, $30,000, 300 miles, 12 years, 150,000 miles. Like these are worse stats than Tesla will have by the time this comes out. And this is their pie in the sky thing who've constantly overpromised and underdelivered. So it's just, it absolutely makes no sense to me. And then you look at and then I'm beefing with the CEO because I hear him on Yahoo Finance and he's like, it currently takes about an hour to charge an EV and it only takes 5 minutes to fill up a gas car. This is why nobody's buying EVs. It's like the best selling car in the country last year was the Tesla Model 3 by dollar revenue, or the Teslas were. Maybe it was Model Y kind of got mixed in, so it wasn't that. But the Tesla's already selling well, and I'm the guy who's charging my electric vehicle. First of all, you charge at home. You never have to go to the gas station. And the Tesla superchargers are so fast. Like, I've done the road trip. Like, we're so close to being perfectly there with the Tesla superchargers. It's 15 or 20 minutes to get a full tank already, and they're about to come out with V4 supercharger for the 4680. So even their whole point of like, we're going to charge in 15 minutes in 5 years, I'm like, Tesla's already basically there. And then I see the CEO go lie about how it takes an hour. It's like, it's this constant thread of we're going to ignore what Tesla's saying about battery day. We're going to ignore the status quo of what the EV market looks like in 2025. We're just going to assume it's currently where it is today. So I'm playing devil's advocate here. Like it's kind of a hot take just to play devil's advocate in some ways, but I really want to know why I'm wrong. And so like even here, they have this chart about how the lithium ion battery is maxed out, but then they kind of leave off the table all of the innovations that Tesla has made in that same thing. And so look at this, 10 years of R&D. I see this mega red flag. What is this? A venture funded company that has been there around for 10 years, hasn't done a drop of revenue for 10 years. Like look at their track record. And they're still saying they're 5 years out from generating any revenue. What's all the VCs saying? All the VCs are so tired of the broken promises. They see Nikola doing a SPAC with nothing hitting 30 billion. They're like, bro, we can pump out Quantumscape at 10 billion. No problem. The market will buy that. We can all cash out. We'll all get our money. We'll retire. We don't even have to build a single battery cell. If you look at the Cui Bono, Machiavelli, I think that was him, of the incentives for this deal. To me, you have VCs that want to cash out. You have Volkswagen that wants to look good. You have executives who have been unsuccessful in their careers trying to get successful here and like make money on it. But then you got JB Straubel. So I don't know. This is where I take a step back as a non-battery expert and say there's something that appeases the battery experts there, where like there's a dope, like if you're a battery tech nerd, you're like, ooh, like solid state is cool. Like Quantumscape does have a really cool approach and tech to this, but that's a lot different from commercializing it, from competing with Tesla, from getting people to buy it. I mean, the steps you have to go through to commercialize a new battery technology is insane. Nobody's ever commercialized a solid state battery. So, yeah, and that JB hates Elon. So that's the other thing, is there's huge beef between JB and Elon. Or that's my read on it. And I I don't know. I just keep coming back to the fact of like JB built Tesla's battery division. They have a skunk works with Drew leading it. Like you're really going to invest in a company called Quantumscape that's that's basically already priced in to beat Tesla at where Elon Musk is investing all his focus in the battery skunk works at the 4680, and they bought a company called Groman Engineering that's shooting these 4680s off the line like bullets. I mean, is Quantumscape going to buy Groman? I mean, I look at this as like totally different lens. Let's take it from Gally, the kind of, investor private equity guy. If I was a quadrillionaire and I wanted to buy this asset, I would be looking at this asset. I'm like, 30 billion for an asset that I got to pour another 5 billion into before they produce another dollar in revenue. Like they're going to need absurd capex to be able to even get their factory off the ground. Like this is like you're signing up to wait 5 years before revenue and get diluted the whole time while waiting. Like I would never. And then it's not like you're going to build a product that's an autonomous robotaxi. Once you invest in all that, that's going to make absurd profits. You're going to be building batteries where it's going to have a 10% margin. Like it's just such a crappy business when you actually think through the economics, at least when I frame it with the lens of a $30 billion valuation. That's why I say 50 million valuation, 100 million valuation with commercialization in 2022. Maybe I give them a chance. But no, because Elon Musk, where does the auto industry go? It's an oligopoly. It's Tesla. It's autonomous Model 2s driving us all around. And Tesla is going to go from 50 car brands getting a fragmented share of miles, Volkswagen and all their 50 useless brands, to just Tesla's autonomous ride-hailing network, car ownership a thing of the past. That's how we all get around, miles transported. And that's all 4680 batteries. Volkswagen is bankrupt in 2025, And so, they don't have the autonomous tech. And so to me, that's like when you think about where is Jeff Dahn researching cycle life, let's improve the cycle life of the batteries to make them last 1 million miles. Quantumscape, because that's the economics of the robotaxi. We're driving around so much that the ROI of that robotaxi is so dependent on how many cycles that battery can last. And then Quantumscape is like, I don't even see them mention robotaxi, but they're not even coming out till 2025, and their cycles is their weakest point. So you think about what is the where you want your battery to perform at the $30,000 car with 300 miles of range in 2025. You want it to be able to do 10,000 cycles and do a robotaxi workhorse, and they're saying, that's not even the battery we're building. And so, how does Quantumscape get bailed out? Amazon buys them, maybe. I don't know. I wanted to skeptically make a very hot take on this. I'm going to throw another wild fact at y'all. The cost to borrow rate on Quantumscape shares is 200%. You cannot short this stock unless you pay a 200% annualized yield. This happens to a lot of companies that IPO. It really forces the upside of the pop. This is what happened to Nikola, why the stock was elevated for such a long time, because you literally cannot find shares to short the stock because the supply is so restricted. And if you can find shares, you're paying a 200% interest rate. You're constantly rolling over that squeeze. And so that's what I see happening is nobody can even get shares to short. And so if I think this is a totally irrational market dynamics pushing this to a totally insane, irrational price point that makes no sense. The second the market normalizes, the second the Robinhood hype dies down, the second it gets easy to short and borrow and short this stock, I think it normalizes and hits a much more normal equilibrium. But this is just my theory. I have no position in Quantumscape. Not long, not short, just a schemer. But this is my thoughts on the company. Who sets the rate? It's the market, and it's really hard to find the cost to borrow rate for companies. But so how did I know Tesla was going to short squeeze back in 2012? I'm calling up Interactive Brokers like, yo, I didn't have an account, but I was like, yo, what's the borrow rate on Tesla? They're like, excuse me, sir, what's your name? What's your account number? I'm like, oh, I don't need just hit me with the borrow rate, bro. Like, we don't even have to go through that. So that worked for a week, and then they cut me off. But the borrow rate, and it was like 80%. And so I'm putting in this spreadsheet, and I'm like 60%, 80%, and it's a month long. So I'm like, in a month, you paid 15% interest on that position. You're already down 15%, just the interest to keep that stock there. And so, of course, you're going to be forced to cover and cause a massive short squeeze in the company. So this is what happened to Beyond Meat, why it had that insane pop after IPO, looking at 200% borrow rates. And so Quantumscape now is in this irrational zone of lack of shares existing, forcing up a borrow rate, making people unallowed to short the stock, and then you have that no top there. And so that's a really weird back-end market dynamic that I think is inflating the irrationality of this valuation. And so, I don't know. I'm really interested to see how this plays out, because on one hand, I love electric vehicles. I'm so for this technology. I'm so for electric planes and electric cars, and I love JB Straubel, honestly. Like, he's my boy. I don't know him at all, but like, he just like grinded at Tesla as a co-founder of the movement, like had this scheme to glue all these laptop batteries together and like make the car. And then, but that's what Tesla did. Like, they figured out how to turn the batteries from this laptop thing, you know, into a car, and they repurposed it. And now they're, you know, the solid state thing is totally different. So on one hand, it kind of kills me that JB is like not with Tesla anymore, honestly. I don't know. I like to, yeah. So I kind of want them to really succeed, Quantumscape, but I just from a lens of the valuation of 26 billion, bro, 360 million shares outstanding at $76 a pop. It's like, bro, this is, you know, I like, who's crunching these numbers? Like, nobody that if you're buying it, you didn't crunch the numbers. And so anyway, if you have any questions, let me know. This is kind of my rant on Quantumscape. I just wanted to, you know, put my schemes out there and kind of share my perspective. If I can, maybe actually, I have one more chart that I want to show you. I'm just going to hit home. I'll show y'all what I'm looking at. Oh yeah, so this is their timeline. Volkswagen is their big partner. I don't know. I'm not impressed. Like, do we think Volkswagen is the leading auto OEM in 2025? You know, and look at, so okay, this is what you're looking at here. So we're still in here. They're not even, forget about sample testing for another year and a half. Like, I don't know. I mean, if you're, I feel like everybody buying this stock who I've heard of is like the most short-sighted, like day trader buying a stock. They kind of have a short-term mentality. But then I look at the timeline, like, if you're buying Quantumscape, this is, you have, like, you think I was long-term, bro, you're buying Quantumscape, like, plant a tree. That'll grow faster than Quantumscape's battery production. Like, you know what I mean? Like, look how far we are away from like production and validation with the SOP 2026. I mean, and this is like best case, this is like what they put in the PowerPoint. You know what I mean? This is like totally best case scenario. And so factory economics, CapEx for a 220, okay, first of all, 20 gigawatt hours. Tesla at Cato Road has got a 10 gigawatt hour line already that they built with like 50 million in CapEx or 100 million in CapEx, a drop in the bucket. They're telling you a 20 gigawatt hour line costs 1.6 billion in CapEx. I mean, I didn't even get to the CapEx debacle because this is a CapEx debacle that's massive. I mean, when I was saying, like, it's not a $25 billion company it's $25 billion company that needs to raise billions and billions of CapEx to set up the lowest gross margin business ever with the product that's going to be irrelevant when it comes out. I mean, who is thinking this through? Nobody. Look at these financials. This is the slide that I want everybody. Okay, you assume that we're going to hit 1 million vehicles in 2028 and that will generate 6.4 billion in revenue. Actually, their EBITDA margin is really high though, 30%. Okay, so that's higher than I had. But I mean, they have all these assumptions here. High margins reflect Quantumscape's unique technological and structural cost advantage due to anode-less manufacturing. I mean, this is like look at this spreadsheet. You're literally looking at 0.25 million in revenue in 2024. That's gigawatts. 14 million in revenue in 2024. 39 million in revenue in 2025. 207. We're still trading at 100 times 2026 revenue by their own projections. That's crazy. Yeah, my laptop's grinding here. Oh, this is very interesting. Oh my god. Now Quantumscape's worth like 25 billion because it's gone up so much. So, I mean, I don't know. I think this is, even they're telling you here the median is 6.9 times sales for enterprise value revenue. That this is like before the IPO pop, right? Before it went up 10x or whatever. So they're telling you their comps are like 6x, and this is an inflated, oh my, this is electric vehicle battery comps, which are soaring, that should be priced as half as much, and they're saying that's our comp at 7x sales, and you're buying it at 7x 2028 revenue. Their comp is 7x, you're buying it at, okay, 4x 2028 revenue. And that's their absurdly inflated comp that makes no sense. So I am so fascinated to see how this all happens. But I think the strongest thing that Quantumscape has put out thus far is their this PowerPoint. And when I see their presentation today, when I saw the when I look at how they're posturing and communicating, this is an investor relations marketing strategy. Their entire effort and focus right now is to sell this company to investors. To me, that's what I read. It's like, you're not grinding on the tech, you're not getting me hyped on the tech, you're just like, it just feels like it's an investor relations focused event. And that to me is kind of this red flag of like their biggest focus is to posture and tell the story to investors because they see the time is right to get an absurd valuation here. And maybe I'm wrong, but this would be like the longest ramp up I've ever seen of just taking so much time to actually get into production and have investor patience be that long. I mean, investors change their mind every single day. And so, I'm also huge on vertical integration. Like, I think one of Tesla's biggest things is that they're going from lithium mine to battery line, to even car production line. That's a limiting factor quote. Like, literally, they own this clay mine in Nevada. They come up with a new way to build the cathode. They came up with the way to, Groman engineering to actually build those cells. I mean, to me, Tesla, the fundamental bet on Quantumscape is that Tesla will literally never advance their battery technology from today. Everything they announced at Battery Day was a fraud. And that, to me, that's the only way Quantumscape wins. Because if I see Tesla's technology getting better, then this entire business plan is irrelevant. And you're already pricing them in to dominate the market for years. This is insane. I'm so curious how this turns out. This is an incredible case study we will all follow. I kind of hope I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong and them to totally just, hit like a 300 bill in 10 years or whatever. But I don't think that'll happen. I think, everything's about the right price, right? And I think 25 billion for a company with no revenue for 5 years, that's going to burn a ton of capital to get there. It's going to have a low gross margin product that's going to compete head on with Tesla, where their tech's already better. Just makes no sense. That's my take. Can't wait to be wrong. Anyway, I love y'all for coming on the live stream. I've been on Zoom calls for like 8 hours today, so I'm just going to tune off. But I just want to wish y'all a good night. I hope you enjoyed the late night scheme sesh. Thank you so much for tuning in. See y'all next time. Peace.